it looks like we're ready. I can see.
Are we streaming? Okay. All right. I will call to order the Monday, May 23rd, 2022 meeting of the Oregon City Planning Commission, and this is going to be a work session. I don't believe we have any script on a work session, so we're going to go straight to, Kelly's not here. I thought Kelly was going to be here.
She was in the kitchen.
So this, yeah, I'm presenting the item.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
Kelly will present during your regular business meeting, so.
Okay.
Okay, so I will take it away then.
Yes, please.
Can you bring up the PowerPoint? Go back to Zoom, because you'll want to share. Just a minute. Button where it says share. Yeah. Want to click on that. Now. Okay, great, thank you. All right, so I am here to present the draft comprehensive plan, Oregon City 2040 draft comprehensive plan. And Sarah Breakstone, our consultant with OTAC, is on Zoom to help answer any questions should they come up. Okay, now. Yay, everything's working, okay.
Is your mic on?
Yes, but I will get closer. Okay, how about that? All right. I've been told I just need to project, so I'll just try to project a little bit more. All right, so tonight we're just going to review the project objectives and then go over how the plan was developed. We'll go over that process and go over a little bit of how the comprehensive plan is used, and we'll review the draft comprehensive document. So I'm hopeful that we can bring up the PDF, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time in it, but I thought it would be fun to just to flip through kind of the final version. Okay, so the objectives of the process in itself, we wanted to make sure that OC 2040 streamlined the comprehensive plan and to make it more intuitive and user-friendly. Comprehensive plans are intended to be high-level policy documents that guide our decisions, and part of the approach was to update and reduce the overall bulk. So in the current comp plan, there's multiple goals and strategies, and so we wanted to try to reduce that and really hone in on what's important. And so we're keeping the goals and strategies at a higher level. I'm going to refer to goals and strategies. When this first came to you, it was goals and policies. And when we went to City Commission to work on the wording, one of the changes was to change policy, the word policy, to strategies. So that's what you'll hear me saying. And then over time, what happens with the comprehensive plan is projects and ideas that are identified, the commission will create implementation action items out of those ideas. But implementation is not included in the comp plan. Okay, so when we went through and developed the plan, we had a lot of public participation. Part of that was through the project advisory team and other measures, and that led to the visioning process. And the vision was adopted last August, and that is included in the comp plan. You'll see it in there. And then through that, after that was done, we went through some more engagement to really refine the goals and strategies. And so that's what's listed on the slide, is we had community summits, an online survey, multiple iterations of the draft language and community touch points. We presented the goals and strategies to all of the advisory committees, the city advisory committees, and then you will remember that we went through a couple work sessions with Planning Commission and with City Commission to really refine the wording. Some of the other pieces that are included in the comp plan then are some introductory language about how to use each section and background information. And then when you put it all together, that is the comp plan. These are graphics that really demonstrate demonstrate the process that I just described of kind of how we got to where we are today. And so I think these are helpful for kind of explaining the comp plan process. There's a quiz if anyone can read this. I'm just kidding. This is the vision statement. This is just basically a snippet from the comprehensive plan itself. And this is the vision that was ultimately adopted by the City Commission last August. And that's what then guides kind of the rest of the document. And each of these sections were then turned into chapters. So the four themes are healthy and welcoming community, a diverse economy, connected infrastructure, and then protected environment. And so these are the vision statement portions of those themes. So when the Planning Commission and the City Commission are ready to finalize and adopt the comp plan, we will submit it to the Department of Land Conservation and Development for their review. And so they take a look at it and review it to see how our comp plan meets the statewide land use planning goals. And this step is really crucial because we need to, it needs to be acknowledged. That's kind of the technical term for adopting it. The state has to acknowledge our comprehensive plan, which then allows us to kind of make all of our zoning and other codes fit within the comprehensive plan. So this table is, a version of this table is in the comp plan to show how we meet those statewide planning goals, and then DLCD will use that in their review. This kind of demonstrates what I was just describing. So once we're acknowledged by the state, then the comp plan can legally direct all of our activities that are related to land use and the future of natural and man-made systems in Oregon City. And then once the comp plan's adopted and acknowledged, all of our other area plans and zoning codes and permits and public improvements, all of that has to be consistent with the comp plan. And that's the state's way of ensuring that we're meeting the statewide planning goals. So this is a list of some of the applications that have to demonstrate compliance in some format, consistency, I should say, with the goals and strategies. So when there's an application for a zone change, conditional uses, major variances, a planned unit development, or other type 3 reviews. So that those can come from either an applicant, a private party, or perhaps the city initiates a zone change. And so those types of applications will have to take a look and see how they fit with certain aspects. Not every single application will have to show consistency with all of the goals and strategies, but the ones that apply to them. This is just kind of an overview of how to use a document and the various pieces that are in there. It will point out the topic areas and then the goals and strategies and how they're used. And you'll be able to see that a little bit more clearly when we go through the comp plan itself. And so this is what each chapter essentially looks like, and there's some statements, kind of background information about community engagement and how we arrived at those goals and strategies. Okay, I'm going to see if this works. Let's see. Okay, yay. Oh, but they can't see that. Okay, give me 1 second.
I can share it too if that's easier, Equilin.
Oh, thanks, sir. I think we got, I don't know why it's not sharing. Sure. Sarah, why don't you go ahead and share it? I tested it. I thought it was going to work. Okay, so let's do this then.
Oh, you'll have to make me, you'll have to give me permission, I think. There we go.
You know what? It's still not coming up for us. Hold on 1 second.
Oh, really? It says you can see it, but apparently not. So you're not seeing my screen?
Right, we don't see your screen. Hold on 1 second. Let's see if we can see this stuff. I'm going to stop your sharing.
Yeah, I'll stop, yeah.
Oh, okay. Hold and then left click. Yeah, right, but.
Why isn't it properly?
Hold down the control button.
It's just like not pulling it up on our screens. Oh, I have an idea.
Would you do it or you have?
I just turned it off. Something happened, indeed. Okay, no. Hanging with me here. Okay. Anyway. All right, so this is our cover, and I will work with Commission President McGriff to have a letter in here. Most of the comp plans have a letter from the mayors. Table of contents, and this is the finished product. So I think it came together really nicely. We'll talk about the land use requirements, how the plan is used. This is where you can see all the goals, all the statewide planning goals, kind of that nesting hierarchy that we talked about. And so this is all of the context that kind of leads into how to use that. And here is the vision where we talk about how the vision was developed, the project advisory team. And this is where you can actually read the vision statements in a kind of legible way. And then some of these graphics, this is the table showing the statewide planning goals, how to use this document. This is where we made a kind of special note to underscore where strategies and policies basically mean the same thing in this instance. There's a lot of places throughout our code that refers to policies. So we had this put in there to guide us in the future. And then we get into the meat of it, and this is where you spend a lot of time refining the wording. And so we've got our goals and strategies, and that's really the heart of a concept plan, or excuse me, a comprehensive plan, a diverse economy, and connected infrastructure. The last theme is a protected environment. Okay. And that is our draft OC 2040 plan. So we've got a little bit more work to do with acknowledgements and then the appendix document. The appendix lists all the kind of other documents like a transportation system plan, a concept plan, and all the pieces that fit into that comp plan. Okay. And with that, that's the presentation. Oh, I did want to mention, so the next steps from here, we will do a similar work session with the City Commission, and then we go into public hearings to formally adopt it. So we'll start here at Planning Commission, and then it moves into City Commission. I think it's one hearing here, and then since it'll be an ordinance, we'll probably have 2 meetings with the City Commission. And should be done by the end of summer. Yep, that's the end of my presentation, so open
Okay.
for questions.
Thank you. And then is Sarah going to have a presentation, or is she here in case we have questions?
Here to help answer questions,
Okay,
yeah.
so I guess we'll just start. You want to start on your end, Greg? Anything? I have no questions. Okay, Patty?
I do not either.
Commissioner Mitchell?
You knew I would, right? Okay, on the, can you bring up the document?
Sure.
The plan? On healthy and welcoming strategies, or healthy and welcoming communities?
Oh, we gotta figure it out.
Actually, I had one before that, so kind of just start at the beginning.
Okay. Health, yeah, just.
Where's that, the chart that was kind of an upside down triangle?
Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, I think.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah,
I have this kind of weird problem that typos jump off the page at me.
okay, great.
Capital is misspelled.
Okay.
And then go down to healthy and welcoming communities.
Oh, wait, hold on, let me mark it here. Okay, so which one is spelled wrong?
Capital improvement
Oh,
plans,
oh, oh.
it says CapTeal.
Okay. Thank you.
And the first page on the healthy and welcoming communities section.
Yeah. Nope, keep going.
Oh, back up, up. One more maybe.
Right there?
There, right there.
Okay.
Just a suggestion, the last sentence where it says 12 active neighborhood associations,
Yeah.
I think we should put the total number of neighborhood associations, because I know there's always efforts to try to get some of the inactive ones active, and it's kind of that's kind of a flexible number.
Okay.
But it should just call out how many total. Okay, so then diverse economy,
Okay.
goal 1, strategy A. One more page maybe. There we go. Strategy A says development of strategies and strategies. I think one of those words should be, probably was supposed to be something other than strategies.
Sarah,
Where
are you
is that?
tracking this?
Yeah, I'm writing all this down.
Okay.
I don't see
Okay,
it though.
then
Sorry, which
on-
strategy was that?
Say that one more time.
Which strategy was that had that typo?
Oh, A.
Yep, okay, see it, thank you.
You got that? Okay.
Gotcha.
And then connected infrastructure,
Okay.
goal 1. Strategy B, and I don't know that I have the right answer, but I don't think non-motorized is the right word, because I'm thinking in particular about e-bikes, which are really becoming popular. They are a reducing the carbon footprint, but they're not non-motorized. So I don't know if it's non-automobile or something, but it's non-motorized doesn't exactly cover green solutions.
It seems like, I mean, once you've listed all, any other, including qualifiers, kind of irrelevant because you've already said all. So, I mean, all modes of transport includes non-motorized modes and motorized modes and, all that. So it's really sort of an extra.
I'm looking at B.
I'm up at goal 1 on top.
No, I'm looking at strategy B under goal 1, where it says supporting and
Oh, I see.
emphasize
I'm sorry.
non-motorized modes.
Got it. Well, my comment still stands.
Okay.
We can go back and look at when we did the wordsmithing too, because I feel like we had a discussion about that particular word. So we'll go back and take a look.
Yeah, I just know e-bikes are becoming so popular and they kind of don't fit right in there.
Can I make a quick suggestion? It could be related to internal combustion engines, commonly known as ICE, ICE, a reduction in internal combustion engine, because those are the ones that emit environmental, forgot the term, but it's an internal combustion engine that we're trying to get rid of, basically, or reduce the internal combustion engine world. Yeah.
Two other thoughts. This replaces the 2040, or the 2004 plan, right?
Correct.
Okay. So I guess I'm a little troubled in some of the background info sections. It refers back to the 2004 plan, which doesn't exist anymore.
Right. So when you say you're troubled, it's because once this replaces it, it's kind of
Yeah,
out of
well-
context. It doesn't make sense to talk about it.
Yeah.
Is it referring back to the 2004 plan? You'd have to
I'm going to
Open it up to-
I'm going to try to find one.
okay.
While I look,
We can make a note to look through, because I do remember reading that as well.
Yeah.
So we can make a note.
like,
just to look-
here's a section where it says design and development. The 2004 plan emphasizes the desire to promote community vitality through good design, efficient use of land and strategies and actions, whatever. So I don't understand why we're referring to the 2004 plan, because it's not our plan anymore.
Sarah, do you have any insight on that?
Well, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're kind of quiet.
Sorry, I don't know how to make this go any louder. I mean, this is intended to be sort of a background piece, so it's sort of trying to set the context for how some of this came to be. So I think that's probably why there's references to the 2004 plan, like there are references to other city plans, but I can see how that might read kind of in a confusing way. So we can go through, and I think there's a couple places where it's worth mentioning the 2004 plan, but I think we can go through and just make sure that when we're referring to it, it's because we're referring to something that is sort of relevant to the context, if that makes sense.
Yeah, okay. That just seemed odd to me, because if it, yeah.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say, and I know I'm repeating myself and beating a dead horse, but I still have a concern that this is too high level. It doesn't really get to policy direction that we're going to need when we make land use decisions. I mean, there are 41 land use policies in the 2004 comprehensive plan. And there's not more than a handful here. And maybe 41 is too many. And I get the idea of wanting to consolidate. But, you know, I think even the city commission recognized that a little bit. They changed the word policy to strategy because they didn't think any of these were policies. So I'm just going to leave it at that because I know I'm probably out on the limb by myself on that. But I really worry that there's enough specificity here that we'll be able to use it to guide land use decisions. So that's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Staggs.
Well, as a follow-up to what you just said, Mike, can we identify where in this document it actually talks about policy?
What do you mean?
Well, could someone show us in this document where it actually has a very clear policy directive? I mean, where in the document would we find that? Where it says, or there's like a very clear kind of policy direction?
Well, I'm not sure if this answers your question, but I think, let's see. I don't know how well you can see this on your screens. I'll zoom in a bit. I'm not sure if this is what you're
So it's the strategies, yeah.
getting at, but so here we're trying to
Okay.
describe how to use the strategies and that they're supposed to be clear statements that guide a specific course of action. And that's in this section called how to use this document, but I'm not sure if that gets at what your question is.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, say, for example, page 43, goal 2 of protected environment, you have strategy A, B, C, D, A through H. And if you look at, say, strategy A, which says implement site development and design practices that incorporate natural ecosystem enhancement, minimize impacts on natural resources and avoid degradation or loss of wetlands, watershed, and habitat. I suppose you could say that's a relatively specific strategy. There's nothing really there that we aren't already doing today. But when you go to strategy B, it says bolster efforts to reduce landfill demand through reuse, recycling, and composting methods. Yeah, I mean, I agree with Mike in the sense that, and I think I need to personally take another read through everything and see which things I believe are specific enough, and maybe we can add some language that makes them more specific.
Can I add something to that, Commissioner Staggs? I've got the old comprehensive plan printed out, and before we had policy and strategy in some of these, like in section 5, which was full of goals. And what was section 5? It was the natural resources. Boy, this is long. It's hard to find the beginning. Okay, section 5, like for example, policy 5.4.15, I mean, it sounds like an ordinance because we've got an actual policy number. Partner with Metro, Clackamas County, and the Oregon Department of Transportation, ODOT, and other agencies to establish an invasive weeds management strategy. So we have a policy that works with a strategy, but in the new comp plan, we have nothing but strategies. We don't have any policies, but in the previous one, policies and strategies were different things. So
That sounds
that's the
correct.
problem. It feels like we've lost our, like everybody else has said, we've lost our specificity, or help me, please. You know the word I'm thinking of. Anyways, please continue, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I think we're all kind of on the same page, right? With wanting more specificity. Yep. One other thing is, do we feel like the climate action recommendation that we made a bunch of months ago, do we feel like that's all been sort of built into this sufficiently?
I haven't studied it hard enough to see if we've remembered it or lost some of it.
Yeah.
One that refers to I think there's one that refers to a climate action plan.
I did see something, I just don't know how much policy they wrote in, strategy they wrote in there. And the thing about the climate action plan was that is a project in itself. And I think did they budget some money for that? I
don't know.
They did at some point. I can't guarantee one way or another if they did or not, but they should at least refer to a climate action plan. But I don't think there was time to actually get it into this document. At least none of the strategies involved with it.
Do we know where that landed?
I don't. You mentioning is the first time I've heard of this, so I'd have to go back and
Okay.
research.
Does anybody remember any money budgeted for the climate action plan? Okay, we don't know.
The last I know is that we submitted a recommendation letter to the Planning Commission about a climate action plan, and it had some relatively specific language in there. And I think there's a lot of really good language in here about the environment and about things related to that. But I don't want to lose the climate action initiative that we, put forward.
I agree. I just realized something. Commissioner Mitchell, you're on a budget committee.
Yeah, and it's
It was very long.
300 and whatever million dollars. I don't remember that line item.
Okay, all right.
But on the, not the vision statement, what is that? What are these? Yes, it is.
Okay.
And this is maybe a strategy that we need to add, because in the mission statement or vision statement for protected environment, it says in capital letters, a climate action plan guides the city's investment in clean energy, waste reduction, air and water quality. But we don't have a strategy anywhere to implement a capital letter climate action plan.
Okay.
So I think we probably should add one. Good catch.
Fine.
I knew I'd read it in there somewhere.
Aquila, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So there are places in the goals and strategies that talk about climate resiliency and climate change response. A couple of them are in the connected infrastructure section. Aquila, I sent you an email earlier that highlights them. So there are goals and strategies in there that talk about that, and the development of a climate action plan, in my view, would be an implementing item for those goals and strategies.
Okay, yeah, understood. So what you're saying is that a climate action plan is an implementing item, turns into an implementation action from the goals and strategies. Is probably why it wasn't specifically included. I can do some research as well and find out if that was budgeted for at some point in time. I'm not sure.
Maybe we could dig up that letter that we wrote to the city commission that
Yeah,
outlines that. I found it today in our planning commission correspondence.
okay. You think that was maybe about a year ago, or?
Roughly. If you just do a search for climate action, it pops up.
Might be a year and a half. It was, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes,
Commissioner LaSalle.
I think what's happened here is we looked at the old comprehensive plan, and it was such a huge document and such great detail that the desire was to simplify everything, and now it's become somewhat oversimplified, and it lacks the specificity to give the planning commission, the city commission, and the users enough guidance. I mean, it has strategies, but there has to be something beyond the strategies, how to truly implement the goals. So I think we've got to a certain point where we have simplified the document, but we're not quite where we need to be to guide the users. That's all I had.
Yeah, I think that's the consensus we all have. It's got some general, yeah, go ahead.
Well, one of the
Commissioner
things
Gage.
that it did say is that a strategy would be regulatory. But what does that really mean? Does that mean then it has the teeth of a policy? Or what? So,
Yeah, but we need specific policies to be able to use them for, if, as a controlling document, we need a specific policy to refer to. And if it's such a general item that it's just a strategy, how do we use that for any kind of, I'm not saying enforcement, but sort of.
a guideline. So we have a little
It's,
bit of
yeah, if
guideline,
it's
but
such a
not enough.
vague guideline, we can
Right.
kind of use it, but would that even ultimately hold up in court? So,
Right.
yeah, that's the problem. We've gotten it simpler, but maybe at some point we do have to go into weeds with, well, okay, but then the other thing, ultimately we can refer to codes and ordinances. But then what, if this is so broad that we're referring to codes and ordinances, then what's the purpose of this document? If we have to then refer to codes and ordinances, it's very confusing. I don't have an answer.
Yeah, I know it's a different way of looking at what a comprehensive plan is. And I know a lot of other communities have done the same kind of thing, although I don't know if they stopped at this level. I'm just, you said it in your opening remarks, and this was something I was thinking about as I was reading it. You said, now we'll need to go back and look at our code and make sure that it still helps us toward the goals that are and strategies that are in a comprehensive plan. But
Right.
when I look at this, I can't find anything that would lead me to think, oh, we need to change our code because our code doesn't support that strategy. Because they're so high level, I don't think that they're at a level of enough detail to guide what's in our code. And we're not going to solve that up here tonight, but I think it's pretty clear that several of us have that concern. And I don't know how we pass that on to the city commission, or if we do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll take your concerns to the city commission when I present and kind of talk about what the conversation was. Couple of things. One, I think that is pretty typical to do is an audit, a code audit, to see how it fits or doesn't fit with a comprehensive plan. So if it gets updated, just in general, that can become its own action item of go through and do an audit and see where it, where it's either out of date or, it works towards the goals or doesn't. So that's one possibility. The other possibility that I can talk with Sarah and Anais about is, I'm sorry, I'm seeing that there's no audio. I hope that there's audio for the rest of the YouTube, but Steve will let us know if it's not working. We could talk about adding like objectives so that if you have a goal and a strategy and either we add objectives or we add like possibilities. I think what might be helpful for you to see is if we were to go through and kind of identify what implementation action items may go with some of the strategies. And I don't know if we can do that in a way that's kind of not binding, because we're not trying to, this is a 20-year document, so we don't necessarily want to we don't know what's going to happen 5 years from now, which I think we just learned over the past couple of years that things can change really quickly. But maybe there's a way to go in and add what possible action items may come out of these strategies, or to go in and add some objectives to kind of clarify, what could happen or what we are specifically looking for from each of the strategies. There might be a way to refine it that way.
Can I offer just a follow-up suggestion to what you just said? So for example, in Diverse Economy Goal 2 Strategy D, it says support and encourage transit-oriented development opportunities. So you could say there, support and encourage transit-oriented development opportunities by exploring system development charges reductions in the next 20 years to help encourage that kind of development. As an example of being more specific, you're not committing to it. You're not saying we will reduce system development charges for transit-oriented development, but saying exploring those options for those kinds of projects, which would encourage those projects to happen. So.
Sure, yeah, I appreciate that. And I feel like that's what we just went through with the wordsmithing exercises between Planning Commission and City Commission. And there was quite a bit that was taken out in some of those exercises. I don't know if what was taken out made it more or less specific. I'm a little hesitant to start wordsmithing again, but I appreciate where you're going with that. I think we'll have to go back and kind of put our heads together about how we can move forward, or bring you something that's got more specificity in it, and kind of look at the timelines that we're working under. So,
All right.
Well, I've got a comment. I think that beyond the strategies, I mean, it's to a good point now up to the strategies, but I think beyond that, perhaps we should add actions and procedures to accomplish those strategies.
yeah, and that tracks with, I think, what I was saying too about objectives or, different implementation pieces, yeah. Okay, well, we'll see what we can come up with.
Okay. All right.
Gave you a little homework, did we?
Yeah, that's okay.
One more comment, just to be clear, I want to compliment the consultants and staff. There was more public outreach on this than we've ever done, and what's here really does reflect what came out of all of that community contact, which I think is terrific. I just think maybe we didn't take it quite far enough to be useful on a day-to-day basis, but what's here really does accurately reflect what the community wanted.
Thank you.
I got a quick follow-up to that. Was there specific, do we know if there was specific, like in the community outreach and in the community OC 2040, did people have specific ideas on being specific? And I don't remember whether there were, hey, we should do this, or we should look at that, or we should do that. That was more specific.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot of that. I remember I was on that committee and they sent us a list of all the comments from the public. And I did not read all of them because there were so many. You know, so that the outreach to the community and the return from the community was huge, more than any other.
Yeah, I remember one of them was daycare. And at some point, I think it included provide daycare or, ensure daycare. And we thought, whoa, we're being too specific now. There's no way we can possibly promise that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we went backwards. Maybe we've gone too far backwards. So I guess the message the commission is trying to convey is, good work, but are we possibly not specific enough where we need to be? So that's what we're passing forward.
Thank
All right.
you.
Anything else? Okay, so we're going to adjourn this, and then we'll be back at 7 o'clock for our regular planning commission meeting. And with that, we're adjourned.